The council chamber was silent. Ambassador Thela stood at the center of the great hall, her forearms trembling. Around her, representatives from 47 different species waited. The holographic display above them showed something terrible. A world was dying. Talwyn 7 had been a peaceful farming colony. 200 cities filled with families who had never known war. Now the images showed burning buildings and empty streets. The crash had come 3 days ago. The insect-like creatures moved like a living wave across the planet, consuming everything in their path. 40 million people were trapped there with nowhere to run. Thela's voice broke the silence. We sent 3 fleets. All 3 were destroyed. The Kresh do not negotiate. They do not stop. They only consume. She looked around the chamber at faces that showed fear. Some species had retractable eyes that pulled back into their shells. Others had skin that changed color with emotion, now flickering between gray and pale blue. Everyone was afraid. An elder from the Velox species spoke up. His translating device turned his clicks and whistles into words everyone could understand. What can we do? Our ships are not built for this kind of fighting. We are scientists, traders, and artists. We left war behind 10,000 years ago. Thela knew he was right. The Galactic Council represented the most advanced civilizations in 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. They had technology that could move ships faster than light. They had medicine that could cure almost any disease. They had art and music and philosophy that spanned millions of years. But they had forgotten how to fight. Their worlds were safe. Their predators were small. Their wars were ancient history. There is one option, Thela said slowly. The chamber became even more quiet. There is one species we have not contacted. One world that might have the knowledge we need. A representative from the Quinn species stood up quickly. Her 6 legs clicked against the floor. No, you cannot be suggesting Earth. That place is forbidden. It is classified as a Class 12 death world. The creatures there are not civilized. They are dangerous. Thela's voice was steady but sad. They are dangerous. That is exactly why we need them. The chamber exploded with voices. Every species had heard stories about Earth. It was a world where the atmosphere had too much oxygen, causing fires that could burn for years. The gravity was crushing, enough to break the bones of most species. The oceans contained salt that would poison any civilized being. Diseases and parasites lived everywhere. Giant storms could destroy entire cities. The tectonic plates shifted constantly, causing earthquakes and volcanoes. But the worst part was the life that had evolved there. Everything on Earth was a predator or prey. The dominant species, the humans, were the most terrifying of all. They were pursuit hunters who could track prey for days without stopping. They could survive in temperatures that would kill most species. They had evolved to throw objects with deadly accuracy. Their hands could grip and tear. Their teeth could bite through tough materials. They had developed weapons that could split atoms and create artificial plagues. They will kill us all, someone shouted. If we show them the galaxy, they will conquer it. Thela pulled up another image. This one showed Talwyn children in a shelter, huddled together, their large eyes wide with fear. These children will be dead in 2 days if we do nothing. Yes, humans are dangerous, but perhaps that is what we need right now. Perhaps we need someone who remembers how to fight. The vote was close. Many council members voted against contact, but fear for the Talwyn people won in the end. The council agreed to send a message to Earth. They would broadcast it on all frequencies and hope that the humans had developed enough technology to receive it. The message was simple. We are the Galactic Council. We represent 47 species across the stars. We are at peace, but our people are in danger. A hostile force is destroying one of our colony worlds. We have no military capable of stopping them. If you can hear this message, if you have the ability to help, please respond. 40 million innocent lives hang in the balance. The message was sent toward a small yellow star in a distant spiral arm. Then they waited. 300,000 light-years away. Captain Jiho was finishing his shift on the orbital defense station Sejong 1. The station orbited Earth, watching for asteroids or space debris that might threaten the planet below. It was usually boring work. Tonight was different. Captain, I'm picking up something strange, called out Dr. Hana from the communication station. She was the station's xenobiology specialist, though until this moment there had been no alien life to study. It's a signal. Definitely artificial. Definitely not from Earth. Jiho moved quickly to her station. He was a tall man with broad shoulders, built for Earth's heavy gravity. His dark eyes focused on the screen. Can you decode it? Hana's fingers moved across her keyboard. It's complex, but whoever sent it included a mathematical key. They wanted us to be able to read it. Give me a few hours. Those few hours felt like days. When Hana finally played the decoded message, everyone on the station gathered to listen. The voice was strange, translated through software that turned alien sounds into human speech. But the words were clear. They were a call for help. Jiho read the message 3 times. An alien civilization, 47 species, a world under attack. People dying. He thought about all the protocols, all the rules, all the committees on Earth that would need to approve any response. He thought about how long that would take. Then he thought about 40 million people who did not have that kind of time. Hana, can you pinpoint where this message came from? He asked. Yes, I have coordinates. It's far. But our new hyperspace drives could get us there in about 4 days. Jiho made his decision. Wake up the crew. Tell them this is volunteer only. We're going to respond to this distress call. We're going to help them. What about United Earth government approval? Asked Lieutenant Yuna, the station's tactical officer. Jiho looked at the message one more time. Somewhere out there people were dying. Someone had asked the galaxy for help. The galaxy had not answered. But Earth would. We'll ask for forgiveness later. Right now, people need us. Get the ship ready. We leave in 6 hours. The crew of the UESS Indomitable prepared for launch. They did not know they were about to change galactic history. They only knew that someone had called for help and they were going to answer. The UESS Indomitable dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Tauwen 7 system. Captain Jiho stood on the bridge, watching the chaos unfold on the view screens. Ships were everywhere, but they were running away. The elegant council vessels were built for speed and exploration, not war. Their white and silver hulls reflected the distant sun as they retreated from swarms of dark shapes. Those must be the Kresh ships, said Commander Taeyang, the Marine officer who had volunteered to join the mission. He was a veteran of Earth's resource wars, a conflict that had taught humanity hard lessons about survival. He studied the enemy vessels with a practiced eye. They fight like insects. No formation, just overwhelming numbers. Dr. Hana was working at the communication station. I'm receiving multiple distress signals. The Council fleet is being torn apart. Captain, I can establish contact with their flagship if you want to announce our presence. Jiho nodded. Open a channel. Let them know help has arrived. The main screen flickered and showed the interior of an alien ship. Ambassador Thala appeared, and for a moment there was complete silence. She stared at Jiho with her large, dark eyes. Her forearms went rigid. Her skin turned a pale shade that Hana's computer identified as a fear response. Ambassador Thala, I am Captain Jiho of Earth. We received your distress call. We came to help. Thala's translator took a moment to process his words. When she finally spoke, her voice was shaking. You are human. You are from the death world. She looked at him like he was a nightmare made real. His forward-facing eyes, his visible teeth when he spoke, his muscular build. Everything about him screamed predator to her peaceful species. Yes, we are human. And we are here to help you fight the Kresh, Jiho said calmly. He had expected this reaction. Earth had been monitored by the Council for years, though humanity had not known it. The Council had decided humans were too dangerous to contact. Now that danger was their only hope. Another explosion lit up the space behind Thala. Her ship shook. We cannot fight them. They are too many. They do not fear death. Each time we destroy one ship, 3 more take its place. Commander Taeyang stepped into view of the camera. Ambassador, we need your tactical data. Everything you know about the Kresh. How they fight, how they move, how they think. The data came through quickly. Taeyang studied it with Lieutenant Yuna and Engineer Minji. After a few minutes, Taeyang started laughing. It was not a cruel laugh, but one of recognition. They fight like army ants from Earth. Overwhelming numbers, no retreat, total consumption. This is a problem we understand. Thala looked confused and frightened. How can you laugh? They are destroying us. Because, Yuna explained as she plotted attack vectors on her screen. Earth had predators much worse than this. We learned to fight them all. We learned to survive when everything around us was trying to kill us. That is what makes us different from you. Jiho outlined his plan. The Council fleet would continue to retreat, but in a controlled pattern. The Indomitable would enter the Kresh formation and create chaos. The Council ships would then regroup and attack from multiple angles. It was aggressive, dangerous, and required the human ship to take enormous risks. "This is madness," Thala said. "Your ship will be destroyed. You will all die." Medic Hyun, who was preparing the medical bay for casualties, spoke up from his station. "Ambassador, we might die. But those people on Talwyn 7 will definitely die if we do nothing. That is an easy choice for us." Jiho gave the order. "All hands, battle stations! Take us in, Yuna." The Indomitable turned and accelerated directly toward the Kresh swarm. The Council fleet watched in shock as the human ship did something no civilized vessel would attempt. It flew straight into the enemy formation with shields at maximum power and weapons firing. The human ship was different from Council vessels. Where they were sleek and efficient, it was thick and armored. Where they carried defensive weapons, it carried missiles, railguns, and laser batteries designed to destroy. The ship had been built by a species that understood war, because Earth had never given them the luxury of forgetting it. The first Kresh ship that engaged them was torn apart by railgun fire. The second exploded when a missile found its reactor. The third and fourth tried to flank the Indomitable, but Yuna's piloting was too good. She spun the ship in ways that would have killed most species through the force alone. Humans, evolved under Earth's heavy gravity, barely noticed the pressure. Inside the Kresh formation, chaos erupted. The insect-like ships were used to prey that ran. They had no tactics for prey that attacked. Commander Taeyang coordinated the weapons fire with precision. Each shot was calculated. Each movement was planned. Humans had learned warfare through thousands of years of conflict. This was just another battle. On the Council flagship, Thala watched her screens in disbelief. The human ship was surrounded by enemies but was winning. More than that, the humans seemed calm. She could hear them on the open communication channel. They were giving orders in steady voices. Someone was even making jokes. "Yuna, 3 more coming from above," Jiho called out. "I see them, Captain." Taking evasive action. "Minji, I need more power to the rear shields." "Already on it," the engineer replied. "These Kresh hit hard, but their weapons are predictable." Adjusting shield frequency to compensate, Thala realized something that terrified and amazed her. The humans were not just fighting, they were good at it. They moved like a predator hunting in a pack. Each person knew their role. Each action supported the others. This was not luck. This was thousands of years of evolution on a planet that taught its children to hunt or die. The Indomitable destroyed 6 Kresh ships before breaking through the formation. As planned, the Council fleet regrouped and attacked from new angles. With the Kresh confused and disorganized, the Council ships could use their superior speed to strike and retreat. For the first time since the war began, the Kresh were losing. Jiho opened a channel to Thala. His face was covered in sweat, but he was smiling. "Ambassador, we have their attention now. This is your chance to evacuate the civilians from Talwyn 7. We will keep the Kresh busy." "You are insane," Thala said. But there was something new in her voice. Not just fear now, but a hint of respect. "You should be dead. Your ship should be destroyed. We are hard to kill, Ambassador. Our planet spent billions of years trying. We are still here." Jiho turned to his crew. "Taeyang, prepare boarding teams. If we are going to stop these creatures, we need to understand them better. We are going to capture one of their ships." Thala's translator almost failed to process the words. "Boarding action? You mean go inside their ships? Fight them directly. That is suicide." Taeyang checked his armor and weapons. "On Earth we have a saying. The only way to truly know your enemy is to face them up close. Besides, we need information. Time to see what these Kresh are really made of." The Indomitable moved toward a damaged Kresh vessel. As the Council fleet watched, human Marines prepared for something that seemed impossible. They were going to board an enemy ship in the middle of a battle. They were going to fight the Kresh in close quarters. Ambassador Thala watched the humans prepare and felt a strange mixture of emotions. These creatures from the forbidden death world were terrifying, but they were also brave beyond measure. They had come across the stars to help people they had never met. They were willing to die for strangers. Perhaps the Council had been wrong about Earth. Perhaps the most dangerous thing in the galaxy could also be its greatest hope. The boarding tube locked onto the damaged Kresh ship with a metallic clang. Commander Taeyang was first through the airlock, followed by Sergeant Dong Hae and 8 other Marines. They carried weapons designed for close combat: short rifles, combat knives, and grenades. Their armor was thick and heavy, designed for Earth's gravity and built to take damage. The interior of the crash ship was dark and hot. The air was filled with a chemical smell that made their sensors flash warnings. Toxic to most species, but humans had evolved to handle poisons. Their livers and kidneys could process chemicals that would kill other beings. The temperature was over 50 degrees Celsius, hot enough to shut down most alien biology. The Marines were sweating, but they kept moving. "Contact!" Dongi shouted as the first Kresh warrior appeared. It was massive, 3 meters tall with 6 legs and mandibles that could cut through steel. It moved fast, screeching a sound that hurt human ears. But humans had hunted creatures just as dangerous on Earth. Taeyang fired 3 rounds. The Kresh stumbled but did not fall. Its exoskeleton was thick. He fired again, aiming for the joints where the armor was weaker. The creature collapsed. More warriors poured into the corridor. The council observers watching from the flagship saw something that shocked them. The humans did not run. They did not panic. They moved forward into the swarm of Kresh warriors like they had done this 100 times before. They fought with a combination of skill and brutality that came from millions of years of evolution as persistence hunters. Sergeant Donghae threw a grenade that created a blast wave in the narrow corridor. The Kresh closest to him were thrown back. He pushed forward, his rifle firing in controlled bursts. When one Kresh got too close, he used his rifle as a club, then drew his combat knife. The fight became personal, violent, and terrifyingly efficient. On the planet below, another battle was happening. The Talwyn civilians were trapped in their cities, surrounded by Kresh ground forces. Council evacuation ships could not land safely. That was when Lieutenant Yuna proposed a dangerous solution. She would take a shuttle down through the hostile airspace, land in the middle of a combat zone, and extract as many civilians as possible. The odds of survival are less than 20%, analyst Sora told her as she studied the tactical situation from the Indomitable. Yuna checked her flight controls. "Then I better fly well. Minji, I need this shuttle running at 110%. Engineer Minji patched into the shuttle systems remotely. "You cannot run engines over their rated capacity. You will burn them out. Not if I only do it for short bursts. Just get me there, Minji, I will get us back." The shuttle dropped through the atmosphere like a meteor. Kresh anti-air fire filled the sky. Yuna dodged and weaved through the attacks with skill that seemed impossible. She had trained her whole life for this. Every human pilot learned to fly in Earth's terrible weather, through storms that could tear ships apart. This was dangerous, but she had seen worse. She landed in the central square of a Talwyn city. Civilians emerged from shelters terrified. They saw the shuttle and ran toward it. But when they saw Yuna emerge wearing her flight suit, many stopped. She looked like a monster to them. Forward-facing eyes, showing teeth when she yelled instructions, moving with predatory grace. Dr. Hana was with her, speaking through a translator. "Please, we are here to help. We will take you to safety. You must trust us." A Talwyn mother clutched her child, staring at Hana with fear. The Talwyn were herbivores, peaceful beings who had never hurt anyone. These humans were predators. How could they trust predators? Medic Hyun opened the shuttle's medical bay, already treating wounded Talwyn civilians who had made it aboard. He worked quickly, his hands steady despite the chaos. A Talwyn child with a broken arm watched him with wide eyes. Hyun smiled gently. "I know we look scary, but we are here to help." "I promise," the child's mother finally understood. These creatures might be predators, but they had chosen to protect instead of hunt. She nodded and brought her child aboard. Others followed. Within minutes, the shuttle was packed beyond capacity. Yuna fired the engines and lifted off just as Kresh warriors entered the square. Weapons fire traced the shuttle's path as it climbed into the sky. One shot penetrated the hull, causing alarms to blare. Minji's voice came through the communication system. "Yuna, you have a fuel leak. You need to land." "Not until these people are safe," Yuna replied, her jaw set. She pushed the damaged shuttle to its limits, flying it back to the Council evacuation ships in orbit. Only after every civilian was safely transferred did she allow herself to collapse from exhaustion. Back on the Kresh ship, Commander Taeyang and his team reached the control center. What they found there made them stop. At the center of the room was a massive chamber filled with a thick liquid. Inside was a creature unlike any they had seen, the Kresh Queen Mother. She was enormous, with a head that held more neural tissue than seemed possible. Analyst Sora, watching through the Marine's helmet cameras, made a crucial discovery. Captain Jiho, the Kresh are not mindless. She is controlling them all. She is intelligent. This is their commander. The Queen Mother's voice filled their translators, deep and ancient. You are not like the others. The others are prey, soft, weak. You are predators like us. Why do you fight for prey? Taeyang kept his weapon ready. Because we choose to. You consume without mercy. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Foolish, the Queen Mother replied. The strong should dominate the weak. That is nature's law. On your world, maybe, Taeyang said. Earth taught us something different. Yes, we are predators, but we are also social creatures. We learned that protecting the weak makes us all stronger. We learned that cooperation beats competition. You evolved on a world where you were the only apex predator. We evolved on a world with dozens of them. We learned to adapt or die. The Queen Mother was silent for a moment, processing this. Then we are enemies. Only one apex predator can rule. We do not want to rule, Taeyang replied. We just want you to stop killing innocent people. Stand down and we can talk. Keep fighting and we will do what we do best. Survive while our enemies do not. The Queen Mother attacked. Her chamber opened and smaller drones poured out to defend her. The firefight was intense. Sergeant Donghae was hit and went down. Medic Hyun rushed to him even as weapons fire filled the air around them. He dragged Donghae behind cover and began treating his wounds while the battle continued. Taeyang made a decision. They could not capture the Queen Mother. She would never surrender. He set charges around her chamber. Everyone out. We blow this ship and get back to the Indomitable. The Marines ran through the corridors, fighting their way back to the boarding tube. Behind them, explosions ripped through the Kresh ship. The Queen Mother's psychic scream echoed through their translators as her chamber was destroyed, but she did not die. She was too important. The Kresh had multiple queens, they would later learn. This was just one node in a vast network. But the battle had proven something important. The Kresh could bleed. They could be hurt. They were not invincible. Back on the Indomitable, Medic Hyun worked to save Sergeant Donghae's life. The wounds were severe, but Hyun had experience from Earth's wars. He had seen worse and saved soldiers from injuries that would have killed anyone else. His hands moved with precision, his focus absolute. Around him, the ship shook from weapons fire, but he did not stop. Ambassador Thala watched from her ship and finally understood what Dr. Hana had tried to explain. Humans were dangerous because Earth had forced them to be, but that same danger came with an equal measure of compassion. They fought to protect. They risked everything for strangers. They were predators who had chosen a different path. Captain Jiho, Thala said over the communication channel. What you are doing, your people, they are remarkable and terrifying, but mostly remarkable. Jiho, coordinating the battle from his captain's chair, allowed himself a small smile. We are what our world made us, Ambassador. Earth taught us to be strong. We decided to use that strength to help others. That is all. The battle for Talwyn 7 had been going for 6 days. The Indomitable was damaged but still fighting. The Council fleet had learned to work with the humans, using their speed to strike while the human ship drew enemy fire. It was working, but slowly. Too slowly. Millions of Talwyn civilians were still trapped on the planet's surface. Analyst Sora had been studying the Kresh communications for days, sleeping only when exhaustion forced her to. Finally, she made a breakthrough. Captain, I found it. The Kresh have a main hive ship. It is massive, hidden behind the third moon. All their forces coordinate from there. If we destroy it, the Kresh will lose organization. Jiho studied the tactical display. The hive ship was enormous, perhaps 10 times larger than the Indomitable. It was protected by hundreds of warrior ships. Getting close would be almost impossible. Destroying it would require more firepower than they had. But Jiho had not come this far to give up. How many people can we save if we do nothing? He asked quietly. Dr. Hana checked the evacuation numbers. Maybe 5 million. The rest will not survive long enough for us to reach them. The Kresh ground forces are too numerous. And if we destroy the hive ship, then we save them all. But Captain, the odds? I know the odds, Hana. I have known the odds since we left Earth. Jiho looked at his crew. They were exhausted, wounded, running on determination alone. I will not order anyone to do this. This is volunteer only. Anyone who wants to stay behind, no one will judge you. You have already done more than anyone could ask. Nobody moved. Navigator Junho spoke up from his station. Captain, my wife told me not to come on this mission. She said it was too dangerous. I told her that someone needed to help and it might as well be me. I am not stopping now. Security Chief Jiwoo checked her weapons. I joined Earth's military to protect people. These Talwin people count. I am in. One by one, every member of the crew volunteered. Commander Taiyang smiled grimly. Looks like you are stuck with us, Captain. Let's go kill a hive ship. The plan was insane. They would fly the Indomitable directly at the hive ship using every trick they knew to avoid getting destroyed. Navigator Junho would thread them through the Kresh fleet like a needle through cloth. Engineer Minji would keep the engines running beyond their safety limits. Once close enough, they would fire everything they had at the hive ship's weak points that Sora had identified. The Council fleet wanted to help, but Jiho refused. You need to focus on evacuating civilians. Get as many people off the planet as you can. If we fail, at least some will survive. Ambassador Thala argued. But she knew he was right. She watched the human ship turn toward the hive with a mixture of admiration and grief. She was certain she was watching brave beings fly to their deaths. The Indomitable accelerated toward the third moon. Immediately, Kresh warrior ships moved to intercept. There were hundreds of them, forming a wall of chitin and weapons. Lieutenant Yuna had recovered from her injuries and insisted on piloting. Her hands danced across the controls as she performed maneuvers that made the ship's structure groan. 9 Gs, Minji called out, monitoring the stress levels. 10, 11. Captain, the ship cannot take much more. Neither can the crew, Medic Hyun added, watching vital signs. Most species would have blacked out at 7 Gs. Humans evolved under Earth's heavy gravity could endure more. But everyone had limits. Yuna eased off slightly, finding the balance between speed and survival. A Kresh ship appeared directly in their path. She did not turn away. Instead, she flew under it, so close that the Indomitable shield scraped its hull. The Kresh ship tried to follow but was too slow. It collided with one of its own vessels. Junho was calculating jumps in his head faster than the computer could. Yuna, in 3 seconds, brake left and climb, trust me. She did not hesitate. The maneuver took them through a gap in the Kresh formation that closed a second later. See? Easy. Your definition of easy is terrifying, Sora muttered, but she was smiling. They were doing it. Against all logic, against all odds, they were getting through. The hive ship appeared ahead of them, massive beyond imagination. It was not just a ship, but a small city. Parts of it were organic, grown rather than built. Weapons ports covered its surface like eyes. It was beautiful and horrifying. Target the neural cluster Sora identified, Jiho ordered. Fire everything. Hold nothing back. The Indomitable unleashed its full arsenal. Missiles, railgun rounds, and laser fire poured into the hive ship. Explosions blossomed across its hull. But the hive ship's armor was thick. They were hurting it, but not killing it. Inside the hive, the original Queen Mother that Taeyang's team had fought was only one of many. The true Queen Mother was here, ancient and vast. She had lived for 500 years, consuming entire civilizations. She had never encountered prey that fought back like this. She was fascinated and furious. Her voice filled the Indomitable's communication system. You impress me, humans. Your kind has potential. Surrender now, and I will allow your species to serve us. You will be honored slaves. Jiho laughed, a sound that confused the Queen Mother. You do not understand us at all. We are not prey. We are not slaves. We are humans from Earth, and we do not surrender. He turned to Taeyang. Commander, take your team. We are doing this the hard way. We board the hive ship and kill the Queen Mother directly. It was madness, but it was also very human. When conventional warfare failed, humans got creative. They adapted. They found a way. The boarding team launched from the Indomitable in armored pods. Security Chief Jiwoo led them through the hive ship's outer hull, cutting through with plasma torches. They entered a nightmare world of organic corridors and Kresh warriors. The fighting was brutal and close. Jiwoo moved through the chaos like a dancer, every motion precise. Every shot counted. The Council fleet, finishing civilian evacuations, watched in shock. Admiral Vess, a six-legged being who had commanded fleets for 40 years, could not believe what he was seeing. They are inside the hive ship. They are actually inside, fighting hand-to-hand. How are they still alive? Ambassador Thala watched Dr. Hana's face on the communication screen. The xenobiologist was crying, but she was also proud. Because they are from Earth, Admiral. They have been fighting impossible odds since before they could walk. This is what they do. Inside the hive, Commander Taiyang's team pushed deeper. They lost contact with 2 Marines. Sergeant Donghae, still recovering from his previous wounds, was hit again. Medic Hyun stayed with him, defending them both while treating the injuries. The team kept moving. There was no time to mourn, no time to stop. Only forward, always forward. They found the Queen Mother in a vast chamber at the hive's heart. She was 10 meters long, connected to thousands of organic cables that spread throughout the ship. Her mind touched theirs, trying to understand. Why do you fight? You could rule this galaxy. You have the strength. Taiyang set the final explosive charges. We do not want to rule. We want to protect. You would never understand that. Your world made you consume. Our world made us survivors. And the thing about survivors, we do whatever it takes to protect our own. These aliens are not your own, the Queen Mother hissed. They are now, Taiyang replied. He triggered the charges. The explosion tore through the hive ship's heart. The Queen Mother's psychic scream was felt by every creche across the system. Then, suddenly, silence. The creche warriors stopped fighting. Without the Queen Mother's coordination, they lost purpose. They began to retreat, their swarm breaking apart. The boarding team fought their way back to their escape pods. Lieutenant Yuna, flying the Indomitable despite her exhaustion, positioned the ship to recover them. Every second counted as the hive ship began to collapse from internal explosions. The last pod was retrieved with seconds to spare. Navigator Junho plotted the fastest escape route. Everyone hold on. This will be rough. The Indomitable broke away from the dying hive ship just as it exploded. The shockwave threw them tumbling through space. Alarms screamed. Systems failed. But Minji worked her magic with the engines, and Yuna's piloting kept them from crashing into debris. They survived. Talwyn 7 was saved. The creche were retreating. 40 million lives had been preserved, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The Indomitable limped into orbit around Talwyn 7, barely functional. Half its systems were offline. The hull was scarred with weapon impacts and heat damage, but it was still flying and everyone aboard was alive. Medic Hyun had not slept in 3 days, moving from patient to patient, human and alien alike. His medical bay was full of wounded, but he had not lost a single person under his care. Captain Jiho stood on the bridge, watching the planet below. Council evacuation ships were returning civilians to their cities. The creche were gone, their fleet scattered across the system without coordination. It was over. They had won. Ambassador Thala's face appeared on the communication screen. Her forearms were folded in a gesture that Dr. Hana's computer translated as deep respect. Captain Jiho, the Talwyn people wish to thank you. The Council wishes to thank you. You saved millions of lives. You did what we could not. Jiho looked at his exhausted crew. We did what anyone would do. We helped people who needed help. No, Thala said quietly. Most species would not have done this. Most species would have calculated the odds and decided the risk was too great. You are different. You are remarkable. The Indomitable was given emergency repairs by Council engineering ships. The technology exchange was fascinating. Council engineers were amazed by human ship design. It was built to take damage and keep fighting. Human ships had backup systems for their backup systems. Everything was reinforced beyond what seemed necessary. Because Earth had taught humanity that anything that could go wrong would go wrong. So you had to prepare for the worst. Engineer Minji worked with a Valaran technician who had 16 delicate fingers perfect for fine work. Together, they repaired systems faster than either could have alone. The technician asked Minji why human ships were so heavily armored. We build our ships like we build our homes on Earth, Minji explained. strong enough to survive earthquakes, storms, and floods. Space is just another environment trying to kill us. On the planet's surface, Lieutenant Yuna was recovering in a medical facility. A young Talwyn girl brought her flowers, a gesture of thanks. The girl was still nervous around humans, but she was trying. "Are all humans like you?" she asked in broken but understandable language. "Are all humans so brave?" Yuna smiled. "We are not all brave. We are just stubborn. Earth taught us never to give up. Even when things seem impossible, we keep trying. That is not bravery. That is just who we are." The girl thought about this. "I want to be stubborn like you when I grow up." Sergeant Donghae was also recovering, his body healing from multiple serious wounds. Human regenerative ability amazed the council doctors. "Your species heals so quickly," one doctor said. "Your immune system is incredibly aggressive. On your world, was disease a serious problem?" "Everything was a serious problem," Donghae replied. "Diseases, parasites, predators, weather, other humans. Earth did not give us a choice. We evolved to survive or die. Most species died. We survived." 3 weeks after the battle, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. All 47 species were represented. The debate lasted for days. Finally, Ambassador Thala stood to make the proposal that would change history. "I propose we formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Council." The chamber erupted. Many species were afraid. Humans had proven they could fight better than anyone. What if they decided to conquer instead of protect? What if Earth's Deathworlders became the galaxy's rulers? But the Talwyn spoke in favor. Their representative, a gentle being named Pola, shared what she had witnessed. "I saw humans bleeding to save my children. I saw them cry when they could not save everyone. Yes, they are dangerous, but they are also compassionate. They chose to help us when they could have ignored our call. They are predators who decided to protect instead of consume. That choice is what matters." Admiral Vest stood next. "I have commanded fleets for 40 years. I thought I understood warfare. The humans taught me I understood nothing. They fight with a combination of strategy, aggression, and sacrifice that comes from millions of years of survival. But more than that, they care. They risk everything for people they just met. The galaxy needs people like this." The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would be invited to join the Galactic Council. Captain Jiho was offered a position as Earth's first ambassador. He almost refused. "I am a ship captain, not a diplomat. Send someone more qualified." Dr. Hana convinced him otherwise. "Jiho, you answered a call for help when everyone else was afraid. You led a crew across the galaxy to save strangers. That is exactly what the galaxy needs to see from humanity. You are the right person for this." The message was sent to Earth. The United Earth government received it with mixed reactions. Some leaders wanted to refuse, fearing entanglement in galactic politics. Others saw opportunity for trade and technology. The debate raged for weeks. Then Sergeant Donghae was invited to testify before the government assembly. He walked to the podium, still recovering from his wounds, and spoke simply. "I am not a politician. I am a soldier. I volunteered to help people I had never met because it was the right thing to do. That is what we should always do. Someone asks for help and we answer. That is what makes us human." The room was silent. Then one representative stood and applauded. Then another. Soon the entire assembly was standing. Earth agreed to join the Galactic Council. 6 months later, the UESS Guardian launched from Earth orbit. It was a new ship, designed specifically for Council service. The crew was mixed. Humans working alongside aliens who had learned to overcome their fear. Navigator Junho trained Valaran officers in advanced piloting. Engineer Minji shared human engineering principles with Council technicians. Medic Hyun taught alien doctors about trauma medicine. The cultural exchange went both ways. Humans learned about Council medicine that could cure diseases Earth still struggled with. They studied technology that could produce clean energy. They discovered music and art from species millions of years older than humanity. The galaxy became richer for the exchange. But there were still dangers. Reports came in of new threats across the galaxy, species that the Council had avoided or ignored, problems that seemed impossible to solve. Each time, Captain Jiho and his crew responded. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. Analyst Sora set up an intelligence network, sharing information with Council security forces. She taught them to think like predators, to anticipate threats before they materialized. Commander Taiyang trained Council officers in defensive tactics. not to make them warriors, but to help them protect themselves. Security Chief Jiwoo established protocols for handling dangerous situations without unnecessary violence. The humans became the galaxy's guardians, but not its rulers. They shared their knowledge freely. They helped species who asked for help. They proved that being strong did not mean being cruel. 1 year after first contact, Captain Jiho stood on the bridge of the Guardian, looking at the stars. Dr. Hana joined him. She had become Earth's chief xenobiologist, studying hundreds of new species. "Do you ever regret answering that first call?" she asked. Jiho smiled. "No. We changed the galaxy, Hana. We showed them that Deathworlders can be heroes. That being dangerous does not mean being evil. That the scariest species in the universe can also be its protectors." "What do you think Earth's role will be going forward?" Hana asked. "We will be what we have always been. Survivors who refuse to let others suffer when we can help. The galaxy made us outcasts because we were dangerous. Now they understand that danger can be good when it protects the innocent. We will be the galaxy's guardians, not because we want power, but because we remember what it was like to be afraid and alone." An alert sounded. Navigator Junho called from his station. "Captain, we are receiving a distress call. A colony world is under attack. They are requesting assistance." Jiho looked at his mixed crew, humans and aliens working together as one. "Set course. Maximum speed. Someone needs help and we are going to answer." The Guardian jumped to hyperspace, racing toward another crisis. Another chance to prove that humanity's greatest strength was not their ability to fight, but their willingness to fight for others. The galaxy had feared Earth's Deathworlders. Now they called them friends, allies, and guardians. Somewhere on Earth, people watched the news and felt pride. Their species had been contacted by aliens, and instead of conquest or fear, they had chosen compassion. They had shown the galaxy that being strong meant protecting the weak. That being dangerous meant nothing if you were not also kind. The Galactic Council chambers held a new seat now, marked with Earth's symbol. Other species looked at it with a mixture of respect and relief. They had asked the galaxy for help, and Earth's Deathworlders had answered. Now, whenever anyone in the galaxy was in danger, they knew who to call. The humans would come. They always did, because that was what survivors did. They made sure nobody else had to face the darkness alone. Earth had taught them to be strong. They chose to use that strength to help others. And that choice made all the difference. The Guardian disappeared into the stars, carrying humanity's message to the galaxy. We are dangerous. We are strong. We are survivors, and we are here to protect you. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us guardians. That is what makes us different from every predator the galaxy has ever known.